Welcome back to the CNR recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we got Carl McDonald, and your Boston Celtics have unfortunately lost to the Denver Nuggets with a final score of 114 to 110. Carl, I don't know about you, but I like, and I'm going to be so hypocritical, and I can't really go back on myself like this from the podcast, but I kind of felt like I was making a mistake because we just filmed a podcast, so go check that out tomorrow. We'll be posting tomorrow, but none of us expected to lose to the Nuggets. I kind of had a little bone in my body, but I didn't say it because and I can't even say this because I can't say I called it, but it doesn't feel out of the blue. And I'm sick and tired of the Nuggets coming in to TD Garden and beating us because it happens a lot, Carl. It happens a lot. But you know the drill, Carl. What are your initial thoughts after the Celtics lose to the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, pretty much sharing the same sentiments. I thought, hey, we got this. There's no Jokic. And what, Aaron Gordon? Yeah, he's back, but he's on a minutes restriction. We got this. But clearly we didn't. And yeah, as a Celtics fan, this sucks because not only are we again losing to the Nuggets in our home, but also losing to a team that could potentially make a run for the NBA championship in the near future, winning another championship within this decade. Um, so yeah, there's that. Clearly, a very talented team on their end. But, we really were trying towards the end, which I don't want to say we shouldn't have to, but it does goes to show the type of team that we are is that, hey, we're going to push as much as we can to at least get close. And we were close, but this time not close enough.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I gotta give a lot of credit to the bench coming in for the Celtics at the end. Like, I wanted to give a little shout out to Baylor Shireman, who I don't think we've given a lot of credit this year, and played 4 minutes. He came in towards the end of the game, obviously, and he had that great, obviously you want him to hit both foul shots, but he bounced one right off the rim and then got tried to go for the rebound, but lane violation. But I gotta give him some credit because he was a kind of a player that came in towards the end, and Ugo Gonzalez with that big three towards the end as well. So gotta give them some credit. And especially our bench because the bench was so crucial. And we're I think we'll talk about him when we get into stats later on, but Kada as well. I mean, whew, but a lot of good things, but some bad things too. It, and I gotta ask you, Carl, what did the Denver Nuggets do to execute towards the end of the game? Because we'll get into kind of the lead, the differentials, and you'll see the Nuggets at the end just skyrocketed. But also 29 lead changes. What did the Nuggets do in order to execute this win against the Boston Celtics?
I feel like in a weird way they just picked apart the Boston Celtics. We saw many times throughout this game how the Celtics really weren't, adjusting well to this team. We saw many turnovers. I'd say that was like one of the main or the main culprit in this loss for this team. Um, they were just better defensively and just in general all around were just better as a team, and a big reason for that was because they were able to make the Celtics force all those turnovers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And one other thing I have to say, is you mentioned it as well, Carl. This Nuggets team is literally a championship team. Like this Nuggets team could totally win the championship. So gotta show some love towards them as well. Like they're a good team, and this is one of the Celtics' biggest threats. And you only lost by 4 points. I mean, what do you think about that? Because and we totally could have won it. I mean, at the end, it just looked like a seesaw. I feel you give us a couple more, you give us two timeouts opposed to one, and it could be maybe even a little bit closer. But what were your thoughts about even keeping it within 4 points at the end? It wasn't even a 9 point win, as we saw it was going to be once Jalen Brown and Derek White exited the game.
I'd say that's one of the few positives when it comes to this game for the Celtics. The fact that, yeah, we were close to being blown out, but made a run to the point where we could have potentially tied and maybe put this game into an overtime situation. Um, yeah, pretty much we just took our foot off the gas because at some points in the game we did have the lead and just allowed for this Nuggets team to just get away with the ball and again had us forcing those turnovers. So yeah, this again a really good team here that was able to pick apart a team that had a lot of momentum going behind them, but now they're going to have to reset that momentum.
Yeah, and one thing I'm being honest, I'm shocked about is like, once you see a team command the glass the way the Celtics did, it's usually a win because Celtics had 53 rebounds opposed to 39 from the Denver Nuggets. And we just talked about it on the podcast earlier. Remember, go check it out tomorrow. Episode 82 should be posted around 4 p.m. Eastern time. So go check that out tomorrow. But one thing that we took away is the Celtics really don't have a struggle rebounding the ball and have been out rebounding teams. And tonight, the only thing I really saw that was a lopsided was the turnover. The Celtics had 14 turnovers opposed to 7 turnovers, which again, that's a lot of missed opportunities. But shooting wise, the Nuggets shot 44.8% tonight, and the Celtics even shot better, 45.3. So a little bit better. I think the Celtics honestly had a better night at times in this game, and it looked like the Celtics game. And Carl, we'll go into the lead tracker, but again, the Nuggets were up by 13 at one point in this game, and the Celtics were up by 9. But Carl, I'm going to hand it over to you as you kind of give us the quarters because you see this was a seesaw. This was back and forth, but the Nuggets kind of took that huge leap towards the end of the game.
Yeah, pretty much as we're, looking through this forecast here, you have the first quarter with the Celtics winning that by about 4 points. And then you have the Nuggets mounting a comeback and winning the second quarter also by about 4 points. And it's kind of just like a back and forth here. You go from the 27 to the 23 with the Nuggets leading. And then now the 24 to 21 with the Celtics leading. But then by the time you get to the fourth quarter, obviously is where the Celtics were truthfully picked apart and dismantled, and it showed with now the Nuggets leading 35 to 28. And we're not just seeing that in the actual numbers, but the visuals, the forecasting here, pretty much from the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and very much towards the end. The Nuggets were leading and commanding this game, despite the fact that there were 29 lead changes, nearly 30 lead changes here. And yeah, sure, you do see some green here with the Celtics having some type of momentum, but unfortunately, they were not able to close out and capitalize. And it shows again in the visuals and in the numbers.
Yeah, well said right there, Carl, and you broke it down for us well. And I kind of want to, this is a night where you kind of want to skip past because the Celtics did all the right things, but at the end, the Nuggets really just capitalized. And from the stat sheet, you kind of see it on the Nuggets side of ball. I mean, Jamal Murray was 2 rebounds shy of a triple double, had 17 assists, which was crazy, 22 points, 8 rebounds. Peyton Watson, who I can't believe scored 30 on us tonight. That's it.
I know. I know.
30 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 assists, and 1 steal. I mean, Peyton Watson. See, I keep messing up his name. That's how irrelevant he is. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong, but like 30, he is not a 30 guy. He's not a 30 guy. And then Najee had 12 points. Aaron Gordon was on a minutes restriction, as you mentioned, had 12 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 14. Other than that, not really much, like the Celtics, no Jokic. This was a game that you need to capitalize because no Cam Johnson as well or Valanciunas. This is a game that you want to capitalize on if you're the Celtics. Again, still not a night where they had all G League players out there, but a night you want to capitalize. Don't you agree with that though, Carl?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, they were Jokic-less, and unfortunately, that did give the Nuggets an opportunity to have Watson playing the way that he did, funny enough. And yeah, it was just one of those nights where And I don't, want to be that fan, but I feel like they played their best because they were playing, a team in the Boston Celtics. Even though they're not the champs, they are still one of the best teams in the league. And I, completely forget about the fact that it was the best, offensive team in the Nuggets going against the second best offensive, rated team in the Boston Celtics. So there was that battle there. And yeah, this was a battle that we should have won, should have capitalized off of, but somehow we fumbled that.
Yeah, and I gotta mention now the Celtic stats. Baylor Shireman, who had a 13 plus minus. I mean, he was very efficient when we put him in. And, this is a game where there's not much at all on the stat sheet, only 4 minutes, 1 point, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. But those 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, that was felt in that fourth quarter, like late in the fourth quarter, and almost caused the Celtics to have a comeback. So, gotta show Shireman some love and gotta show Walsh a little bit of gratitude tonight. Again, missed his foul shot, but there were times in the game where, that shot that he missed, he looked pretty good in. You see flashes of greatness from Walsh. Again, played 14 minutes, had 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, but still not a terrible night. Like, I mean, the stats look terrible, but when you saw him playing, it wasn't all that. But Ugo Gonzalez tonight, I thought he was very efficient with that three, to help the Celtics when they were trying to bring that comeback. So 3 points, 4 rebounds. Sam Hauser with the start again. He looked blazing at first, but couldn't really get heated up. Had 6 points, 2 steals. Luca Garza, who this is a guy that we're looking at now and has been phenomenal. I mean, and the players I mentioned, all of them were in the positive for plus minus, but then we get into a bunch of negatives. But Luca Garza, 11 points, 5 rebounds. So he looked very efficient when times he was in as well. But Neemias Queta, should we save him for last or should we just give him some credit right now? What do you think, Carl?
I mean, we're already talking about the players and just mentioned him. It's like, it's hard to not mention him now. 20 rebounds. 20 rebounds. And he played really well too, had all these defenders and everybody on him in the way that he, was playing. Yeah, it's only 6 points, but 20 rebounds.
And it shows you plus minus is not really a huge factor in it because, like, again, negative 16 plus minus, but 6 points, 20 rebounds. And when he was on the glass, he was fighting on the glass. And we talked about, again, tune into the podcast tomorrow, but we talked about Neemias Queta and how scrappy he is and how he is a good rebounder and is a good center. And tonight he's showing flashes of greatness, 20 rebounds. That does not need to go unnoticed. Peyton Pritchard, he had a solid night at times tonight. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. I think he answered the call, especially in crunch time as well. And Anthony Simons tonight, again, blazing. He got the call for a 3 when he needed it. 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. I wouldn't mind Anthony Simons taking over a game again because I think if he could have taken it over tonight, you could have seen a different outcome because shot 66.7% from the field goal. I mean, he could have had a night. What do you think, though, Carl?
No, absolutely. Easily one of, if not the best players for the Celtics tonight. Not gonna lie, when I was watching that game, I was yelling for them to put Simons back in because he was hot.
I agree.
So, I mean, you understand. It's like, it wasn't just in the last game, but this game, it was showing, even though he had half of the same amount of points as JB.
And that's the thing. Like, Simons is not like Simons is a player that can give you the points, like I think the thing is, I think Missoula is just not using him to the best of his capability. And I'm not crashing on Missoula or anything. I know he knows what he's doing, but again, give Simons those 34 minutes, let him take more shots because he was 6 for 9 tonight. I mean, only missed 3 shots. From 3, he was 3 for 4. Let him shoot more shots in the game because, again, he's not ball hogging. Do you agree though? He's not ball hogging. He's making efficient shots.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. You are right. If he's not making his own shots, then somebody is helping him to get those shots. And also, underrated part of his performance from tonight, defense. You saw that block. Like that was
Yes.
incredible.
He on defense looks like a different guy because
Hmm.
the Celtics have been shaping him on defense. Not a whole lot, but like a little something, Carl? Like a
Hmm.
little something. So gotta show some credit towards Anthony Simons tonight. And then Derek White, him and Brown have very, I thought White had a good performance. I mean, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. I mean, he was just playing his game out there. But again, they took him. Missoula took him out late in the game, and and we got this. Will Simons be beneficial in the playoffs? I gotta say one thing. That's if we even have him become playoff time. I mean, I hope so. But you hear all the rumors about that. I mean, let's hope because if we have playoffs with him, I mean, he could be electric off the bench and he could be a missing piece. That's why, I really hope the Celtics organization really tones it. And for this question, you gotta go check out episode 82 tomorrow. I'm not giving any spoilers tonight. We can't give any spoilers tonight, Carl.
Word of secrecy.
We can't. You gotta watch episode 82 tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So check it out. And now, Carl, I got to mention Jaylen Brown tonight, who played 34 minutes, had 33 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 48.3%. But again, 7 turnovers, had half of our turnovers tonight, and one turnover was terrible. He was just in crunch time. It was rough. It was rough for Brown, and we praised him a lot today. But tonight he needs to come back down, not a lot, but come to reality a little bit because you just gotta tone it. And that's why he got taken out later in that fourth quarter because Missoula thought with that 9 point lead from the Nuggets it was over, but the bench showed us otherwise. But I'm not crediting anything from Brown. He's supposed to be the number one guy. And when you're the number one guy, you have the ball. And the Denver Nuggets executed him defensively tonight. So can't discredit that. But do you agree with that, or what are your thoughts on Brown tonight?
No, absolutely. Definitely played a good game, especially when you're comparing to last game. But yeah, the 7 rebounds is something that has to be, fixed up because yeah, it's almost like I don't want to say, oh, he was scared out there, but like there were at times where he was actually struggling, to get that ball out to his teammates.
Yeah.
And another reason why, this was also kind of flawed too is because Kendrick Perkins, all of a sudden, oh, this is the guy who should be the MVP, who should lead in the MVP race. Now I wonder what he has to say about Jaylen Brown after this performance. By the way, Perkins said what he said prior to this game. And, Perkins, he's just always doing the runaround with the Celtics.
I Perkins makes me upset because 1 minute he'll be talking so highly of the Celtics, the next minute he's like, "Oh, I hate these Celtics. Like they're not the favorites." Like I don't get him sometimes. I really don't.
Me
Uh,
neither.
but Carl, I that's pretty much all I got for the Celtics tonight. I think they executed the game perfectly. I think they had a very, very good game. Just crunch time didn't look so hot out there and, didn't keep their foot on the gas pedal. And it was just a seesaw. It was back and forth tonight. But do you have any more thoughts on the Celtics game tonight?
No, I'm pretty sure that's it for me. But wait, there is something that we do have to talk about. Trae Young is no longer an Atlanta Hawk. He is now playing with the Washington Wizards.
Let's pull it up. And if you wanted to break down the trade for us, Carl, because this is some fun news right here.
So now in Trae Young's place for the Hawks are Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum, and of course, vice versa. So now, with Trae Young being a Wizard, those two are being shifted off to ATL.
And you see it right here. The newest Hawk and the newest Wizard. I mean, and let's show this video because he was traded during the game. So let's play the video for you guys.
Looks to me, Nick, like he's saying some goodbyes here as he walks over toward the Atlanta bench.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like, and it's great.
What are your thoughts about that, Carl?
Well, that's the first time I've seen something like that, but when it's happening during a game, but it is kind of, funny to see that happening in real time. I mean, we do live in the modern age where pretty much anything and everything can get to you at some point in time. Yeah, pretty much I got this news right after the Boston Celtics game or the Nuggets game. And yeah, I didn't realize it was going to happen this soon. And honestly, I do think this kind of does make the Wizards a bit better. Now, yeah, we were going off on how Trae Young isn't necessarily the best, player. He does have his flaws, but he can still lead a team. He's still really good offensively, and I feel like can get better defensively and just in general, maybe make the Wizards, good to a point where they could probably find themselves back in a position where they are like John Wall's Wizards back from like 2017-ish, The Hawks, though, I don't know. CJ McCollum is not terrible, but I don't know what he really adds to the team. Corey Kispert isn't the worst either, but at the same time, I don't think he moves the needle for the Hawks. But for Trae Young, I feel like the Wizards definitely won this trade. And like, we talked, I almost gave a spoiler for this upcoming, 82nd episode. Just going to leave that be. But point is,
spoil it.
Just saying, yeah, I'm glad the Celtics did not try to make trade for him.
Yeah, because we talked about that. I mean,
yes.
And Carl, I want to say this, and I know, like, the Wizards haven't been playing bad basketball recently. They're
Right.
5-5 in their last 10 games, 10-26. Can Trae Young make this team a playoff team?
I definitely believe he can.
Yeah.
You had just mentioned it yourself. Yeah, they pretty much won the last 5? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're 5-5. I don't know what they are. Let me try to go see what they are their last 5 games. Let's check this out. Wizards. If I could get it. All right, so let's go see their games because they're 5-5 in their last 10, but they lost today to the 76ers. Let me try to bring it up, Carl.
No, you're good,
All
man.
right,
Take your time.
Today to the 76ers. They beat the Orlando Magic yesterday. They lost to the Timberwolves, then beat the Brooklyn Nets, beat the Milwaukee Bucks by 1, lost to the Phoenix Suns, then beat the Memphis Grizzlies, and then beat the Toronto Raptors with a score of 117-138. And then, so, I mean, this isn't a terrible, like, you add Trae Young to them now, along with their young core. And if they, again, Trae Young's on an expiring deal, like, what if he likes it there and they re-sign him? This could be the start of I don't think a championship winning team by any means, but a good play-in playoff team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, oh my gosh. And I can't believe we're, putting the Wizards now in that conversation because they haven't been in a playoff conversation since, again, the John Wall era, since we had to do battle with them, long ago when we had Isaiah Thomas and, all of them. So definitely this can be a playoff team, especially going into the next season. All they really need is for Trae Young to be used to his new situation, get the chemistry down, and just build, a team and plays that are suited for him and the team.
I agree. And here again, here's the graphic. Here's the graphic, Carl. I mean,
Man.
This is crazy. We were literally talking about this earlier, and it's funny. Before the podcast was even released, the news broke. It's funny. We have a track record of being on when news breaks, so it's shocking that news didn't break about Trae Young, but it's interesting now because this might really change the course for what Washington is, but it's going to be interesting. But do you have any more on Trae Young, Carl?
think that's it for me. Outside of just that team is going to be even more successful with them as their leader. And also, I didn't even think about this. Now you have a pretty interesting duo between him and Alex Sarr. So look out for that potentially in the future.
Yeah, I like this new scenery for Trae Young because again, with Trae Young, like it's like I had a lot. I'm gonna save it again. I'm gonna save it for the podcast. Go check it out, episode 82 tomorrow. But again, it's not like he's on a winning team already, but can he turn the culture in Washington and make them a winning team?
Mm.
It's a fun thought. It's a fun thought because again, there's young, talented players there with Bud Carrington and obviously Alex Sarr that you just mentioned. And I know I'm missing a lot for them. Like, hold on, I'm trying to pull up their roster of who they have. If I can find it. Let me pull up their roster because they have a good one. Yeah, like Keyshaw George, he's not great, but he's still something. I mean, Koulibaly, he's pretty good. They still got Chris Middleton, Cam Whitmore, Trey Johnson. They got some guys on there. I mean, Marvin Bagley, this wouldn't be a team. AJ Johnson, I know his downfall is crazy, but this wouldn't be a team that I wouldn't be shocked to make the playoffs, play in tournament. When it happens. Now that they have Trae Young, but do you agree with that? Any other thoughts on that?
A lot of fans in DC should be happy right now. Should be screaming on the top of their lungs.
Again, yeah, because it's been nothing but sad in Washington. You lost your guys and Bradley Beal and John Wall. Now you got Trae Young. A Knicks hater, too. A Knicks hater, I have to say. Maybe that'll spark a new rivalry. Wizards and Knicks. I would love to see Trae Young and the Wizards beat the Knicks. I would love that. I would love it. But do you have anything else, Carl, before we close out?
No, I think that's it for me.
Imagine like it just cracks me up because like coming into the season, I did not see this happening at all. All right, a trade like it didn't shock me when it was like, all right, Hawks won out with Trae Young. I didn't expect him to go to the Wizards. Now we're gonna have a Knicks Wizards rivalry.
It's very possible now. Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't even mind. This is the only way I would like having Trae Young on a roster. I don't want it to ever happen. Like there would be certain like maybe if he if he was in an Anthony Simons role, maybe, but he's a guy who wants the ball in his hands. Exactly. But like just for the culture of Knicks versus Celtics, I wouldn't mind him on our roster if he could be in a more Simons role. But he's off to Washington. He's off to Washington, I do have to say. And the Celtics lose, but we look to bounce back on Friday. So make sure after the game to head over to the CNR recap as we will break it down for you. And make sure also to check out episode 82 tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And again, tune in Friday as Celtics versus Raptors. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. We will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys.
Take care.